I'm Let's Vertigo, and joining me tonight is a special guest. We've got Golden. Gad, how you doing tonight, Golden?
I'm doing great. I'm ready to cast some League of Legends. It's been a while for me since CLOL, actually, so I'm ready to get back into it as we start Divinity League Week 4.
Yeah, now Divinity League is not going to be the exact same, we'll call it game quality, as CLOL or any of the other higher leagues, but we have fun down here in the Emerald Leagues at the very least. And tonight we've got a pretty exciting matchup. We have TFF Aftershocks, a team that has gone entirely undefeated, 6-0 game record, 3-0 series record, up against the Baron Besties, a team that I think early on into the season was rated somewhere in that top 5, are sitting in the 5th seed right now, just looking to break in to that top 4 and get inside that playoff contention spot.
Yeah, and from what I could see, they have a game record of 4-6, so it's been close series every single week so far. Definitely can squeak into that top 4 with just a pretty close match here against TFF. If they just keep winning one game in these best of 3s, they'll keep their record high, and maybe they'll be able to squeeze in no matter what happens with the rest of the results. So
Yeah.
pretty exciting stuff there.
We are in a 9-week regular season, so we've got our round robin going on up until the top 4 gets into the playoffs. So if the Baron Besties do want to start competing for that playoff contention and keeping their hopes alive, I think at the very least, like you said, a game here against TFF would be a great showing. If they can get the whole series, not only would it be a hell of an upset, but it would mean that they are rocketing themselves up towards that top 4 contention.
Yeah, pretty exciting stuff either way. Either way, the game's been pretty fun, I think, recently, besides all the AP champions that are running around kind of ruining everything. So
Everybody loves Faded Ashes, of course.
Oh, yeah, great. I love Zyra Jungle. Oh yeah, that's really fun to play against. So I'm pretty excited to see what ends up getting played, because I feel like AP junglers are not as much presence in kind of Emerald and below. Which this league is. So I'm curious to see if anyone's adapted a bit for that, or we're going to see a lot more tanks or a couple more lethality type junglers despite that.
I will say, even with the AP junglers not always going in the first round, first pick, it has still been that 80 carry meta that we've been seeing across the board. As much as you said, everybody loves AP champions in the jungle right now. In the solo lanes, it's all about the ADs. I think in a lot of the Fear the Strats I've been seeing, we've been seeing some insane stuff cooked up. The Ezreal mids, the Vayne tops, Tristana obviously being that perfect meta mid laner right now, just pushing waves, taking towers, taking 1v1s. I think even in some of the LEC games, I've been seeing some Kai'Sa mid as well. I don't know. People just want to play 80 carries nowadays.
Yeah, and there's 180 carry that comes to mind that I never want to see in any games. There's Corki. I think that champ is completely disgusting. There's really very little counterplay at all, to be honest. Once you hit that 2-item, 3-item spike, you're one-shotting almost anyone that walks up to you. And you're pretty safe while you do it because it is Valkyrie, of course, in the back pocket there. So
yeah, thankfully no more package, so we at least don't have to stall out for any 5-minute snooze fest, just waiting for the objective to come up, so then package can be taken, and the other team is like, oh man, we can't fight versus package, have to walk away. At the very least, we get some action. Corki wants to be aggressive level 1, farm up with the Gatling gun, getting that extra shred, the true damage on autos, true damage on towers. Again, I think tower pushing really is the name of the game for this particular season. You've got your tanks up there in the top side, the bruisers, your Skarners, if for some godforsaken reason he's left open, Cassante, Camille starting to make a comeback, a little bit more exciting. Like you said, the jungle, AP champions, your Lilias, your Zyras, your Karthuses, these big, bulky AP champions that are just saying, hey, I'm going to clear faster than you, I'm going to fight better than you, and I'm going to win the game harder than you can.
Yeah, but luckily for, any of those junglers, they could always pivot to tanks. The double 80 carries always love a nice solid front line. And
oh, yeah.
You can't go wrong with the Sejuani, Maokai, stuff like that. Still works very effectively in the meta currently. So I don't think they have too much to worry about there. As far as supports go, I've been seeing this interesting trend of more tank supports. And on top of just tank supports, there's been a recent build with you just rush Warmogs on some of these tankier supports.
Warmogs is pretty good right now. You activate it really early with your support item. If you upgrade to that Celestial Opposition, I think is the one. Gets you that little bit of extra HP, nudges you over that 1300 health line, gets you the extra regen outside of combat, you get the movement speed. That plus Zeke's Herald, I think, has just been the go-to meta support builds right now. Zeke's is in an incredibly good spot right now. They gave it extra magic resist, so suddenly it's not just a support item, it's a real tank item. You'll start seeing tanky junglers pick that one up as well. We're just waiting for the draft to start here in game 1. Again, this is Baron Besties versus TFF Aftershocks, and just coming into this series with predictions on the mind, I know it's kind of cliche, but TFF is undefeated, and I'm kind of thinking that they're going to stay undefeated. I have them 2-0 right now.
I would generally agree. I've taken a quick peek at the OPGGs. They have some pretty scary champions in their pockets as well. I see Gangplank in the top side, which, I mean, if you're ever worried about anything, I feel like GP is a nice security measure for against these tanks in the top side. I see Hui, I see Aphelios, all above 60% win rate, which is pretty notable. So those are definitely picks to be worried about for sure. On the other side, a little bit less games as well on the side of the Baron Besties, but that doesn't matter too much. It's all team cohesion. But I'd expect that TFF Aftershock would be able to take it. Maybe cleanly. We'll see. You never really know.
I think if you're talking about it from Baron Bestie's perspective, you're thinking about that underdog story. You're thinking about, hey, this is a team that's, kind of in the middle of the pack struggling right now. They want to find their footing, get their best foot forward into the rest of the season. But for TFF Aftershock, if you're not winning this series 2-0, at the very least, if this is the first team that you drop a game against, I think it's kind of concerning for the rest of your season. You're showing some signs of weakness that you really don't want to be doing. If you can end this series 2-0, 20-minute games across the board, you're really happy with that performance. You're saying, hey, we're coming into the middle of the season, still going strong, looking to finish out the season strong as well. And again, I think we're focusing more on how cleanly TFF is going to be coming into these games. And we're expecting Baron Besties to say, hey, how can you be scrappy? How can you shake it up? How can you fight back and push TFF off of their comfort?
Yeah, getting one game, definitely going to be quite the goal here for Baron Besties. And I think if they do achieve that, at least they put themselves in a good spot going forward as well. But, stalling as stalling does.
Look, everybody's here not for the League of Legends games, not for the drafts, not for any sort of interesting, gameplay wise. Everybody's here for the casters. It's all about the personalities nowadays. That's what they're here for.
Oh yeah, for sure. You guys definitely don't want to see any of that League of Legends garbage.
Yeah,
right?
we might as well just skip past the games. We'll just turn this into a podcast. We'll talk about what movies we've seen recently for the next 2.5 hours, give or take. We'll make it a good episode. Why not?
Yeah, we could actually just watch a movie if you think about it, and that would fit that time period just perfectly as well.
I think Twitch might come after us on that one, but
I've just gotten word that they're having a group P session. No,
group bathroom break. I guess you were talking about team cohesion earlier. One of the best ways to make sure that you're in cohesion is just to how sometimes women will sync up their cycles if they're living in the same place for all the time. I imagine it's the same with people with bladders. They just you sync up those times. You're drinking at the same time, you're eating at the same time, and then you're going to the bathroom at the same time. Really working that team cohesion.
That's what makes champions.
Exactly.
You gotta imagine T1. Hey, we don't know, but maybe.
I mean, we can assume we haven't seen them go at a different time, so who's to say?
Yeah, they don't leave the match at the same time, but they all do go to break in between each game. That might just be format, but that is the reality of the situation there.
Who's to say that if T1 doesn't win Worlds this year, that we shouldn't just, stick some cameras in their bathrooms, figure out when they're going?
That's actually against TOS. The movie, I've seen people get away with that, but the bathroom one, that's a different level.
I'm not saying we would stream it. This would be entirely for private use, of course.
I see. Statistics.
Yeah, of course. We're learning things here. We're studying from the best.
Yeah. I mean, T1 is, that is true.
It's hard to argue that they are the best. But speaking of the best, TFF right now is the best in our league. And coming into the season, a lot of the early predictions, I think, had them just outside that top 2, which is sort of the interesting part. A lot of our top teams right now are sitting on that 3-0 record, but the other teams, Conduit Esports Phoenix and Dorado Gaming, if I'm remembering the stats right, have dropped a game or two in some of their series, but they are sitting at clean records for the most part. It is just TFF sitting with that not a game dropped yet. So kind of beating their own odds in their own way.
Yeah, it looks like from what I just checked, Conduit Esports is also 6-0, so must be some sort of game time tiebreaker there for why they have first seed. So it's a pretty tight competition, so you don't want to be dropping any of these games anyways if you still want to retain that first seed going into playoffs. So that'll definitely be the focus there. Yeah, besides that, as far as other teams playing today, anything you think stands out from our matchups today? I'm going to take a peek real quick.
Yeah, I'm going to jump to the schedule real quick and just take a look. See, I know TPO Quacks coming off of a pretty bad loss to Conduit Esports Phoenix last week, really trying to bounce back. They're a team that has been struggling this season, looking to find some of those big wins for themselves. I do think Conduit Esports and Imperial could be an interesting matchup. Other than that, I'm looking to the bottom of the list at Subatomic Gaming Plasma and Literal Monkeys. Monkeys is a team that I've casted for a lot before. I've seen them over in Aegis, over here in Titan. They're a team that's full of players that everybody knows for their personality, and I like seeing them play. So I'm hoping to see them pick up a win there because I rate them pretty highly, even just outside of the entertainment factor.
Yeah, and they're definitely scraping for a win right now. So they're definitely going to want to win that game against Subatomic there. So either way, we have a bunch of matchups here that I'm pretty interested to see where they go. Maybe we'll update you if they finish ahead of time with the schedule by the end of the stream, but it looks like we're going into drafts.
Thank you, players, for getting us into draft here. Once again, it is TFF Aftershocks sitting in that first seed, tied up there with Conduit Esports Phoenix, and Baron Besties looking to get inside that playoff contention. Immediately off the cuff, something that you called out, that Aphelios being taken off the board. And it's actually by TFF, not by the Baron Besties.
Yeah, Jinx getting taken off as well. Quite the strong 80 carry in the meta right now. And I've seen also, thanks to the stats website, that Jinx is the highest prio right now. So
not shocking.
Not shocking to see it get taken off. And Zeri also getting taken off the table. I'd say slightly surprising. Not a champ you would expect below, I'd say, like Diamond Masters level. But still has a lot of room for outplay there. Viego also getting taken off the table.
Lots of bottom lane focus here in the first bans. That Mila as well, just really pinching down that 80 carry pool. I'm a little worried that we haven't seen a Skarner ban yet. I'm worried that the Baron Besties might leave that one up as it's the brand ban. All right, TFF, do you have a Skarner? Can you play it? Or are you going to be giving that over to the other side? Because despite a lot of the nerfs thrown at him, he is still just one of the best champions of the game right now. It's hard to say otherwise.
Yeah, and it looks like they're actually just going to go for Caitlyn instead, so... I mean, not also a very strong pick. Allows you to get easy lane prio there, and has a bunch of very strong duos in that bot side. So not too surprising, but Skarner is just left unpicked somehow throughout the first two picks here. Surely right here, right?
Two big picks that I was expecting to see coming in, and pretty much any team at any level is really the Skarner and the Sejuani. There it is, yeah, picked up by Pot of Greed there. But yeah, Skarner and Sejuani, I think, are two of the best tanks in the game right now, and tanks with health scaling and health stacking are really good right now. Therefore, Skarner and Sejuani, pretty happy with the spot of the game's in. The thing that I'm worried about here for Baron Besties is that Jhin lock-in, because Jhin is a pretty... I'll call him a coin flippy champion. A lot of times you see him, he is hitting 4th shots on people for 3/4 of their HP and they're just dying from half health and there's nothing they can do about it. But other times, he can't really do damage to tanks. This is why I love this other pick from TFF Aftershocks here. The Sejuani plus the Braum just means that Jhin is going to have such a hard time breaking through these tanks. I want to see if they have maybe a Tristana in the mid lane kind of up here, but no, it's actually the Janna to pair up with that Jhin. Okay.
Janna's a very interesting combo. I haven't actually seen Jhin Janna ever in my from what I've remembered. And I think also Braum does quite well into Janna, able to block the tornado, which is something that usually is a strength of the champion. And right now I don't think Titan has any reason to go in, so Janna also loses some value there. They can play at a range and use those Caitlyn autos all the time here. Asol, Ahri, some of the mid lane power picks. I saw Asol as one of the stronger mid lanes here for IQ of Coconut, so getting taken off immediately. Lux as well, in case they wanted to play Lux mid with the Caitlyn.
Lux mid, yeah. I don't think it's a bad call. I'm surprised to see Tristana slip its way through here. I do like TFF banning away that Trundle, the old-timey counter to Sejuani. If she's got her passive on, you ult her, it takes the passive off, and she loses a ton more resistances. It's just kind of good. Baron Besties are setting themselves up to a really nice, just death ball bruiser composition here. The Orianna on top of the Skarner just means that, combo of ultis means that it seems like he can just get wiped, though. Kind of hard to wipe a team fight in the face of all this meatball from TFF Aftershocks.
Okay, but they need a very high damage pick here in the mid lane. Maybe something like a Hui or a Veigar. Interesting.
What? Okay.
Huh. I am pretty concerned here. They need to pick a strong carry in the top side because, in my opinion, Ori also doesn't do that great into tanks right now compared to before. Oh, and there you go. There's the tank killer. It's going to be Gwen.
Yeah, Gwen's a good matchup here. I know you pointed out that a Gangplank was a possibility, though I think Gangplank, unfortunately, is in a pretty weak spot right now overall. Losing S's Reaver, losing Dvorak Quick Plays. He just doesn't feel great about the spot that he's in the game right now. But Gwen is actually feeling pretty good, despite the loss of Lethal Tempo. Her being able to take Conqueror now pretty much every game means that it's so difficult to trade against her, especially as a purely health stacking tank. And looking at a Mundo, looking at a Sejuani, even a Braum, these are guys that want to stack a lot of HP, and Gwen is going to put those needles to work.
Yeah, and I don't think they have the best tools to actually deal with Gwen either, so I think it's a quite strong pick here, and I know Mundo has an absolutely miserable time against Gwen. I've played this matchup a multitude of times. It does not feel good at all. You're basically just going to be farming with Q the entire time, and besides that, they have the Skarner as a counter pick, a nice, easy engage for the most part. Is able to get interrupted, at least by the Sejuani, quite quickly, so that's going to be one thing that plays a pretty big factor here. And of course, Veigar Cage able to prevent a little bit of that. So it's going to be kind of like a poke game until we actually get into it. So
yeah, I'm interested to see how the early game is going to go. I know that both of these teams do not have the biggest early game bruiser, brawler type compositions. You have Gwen, who wants to get at least one item before they start getting online. You have Jin, who wants to get that early either lethality collector or just, infinity edge if he's that far ahead. But we're going to have to wait and see how this early game is going to go as we're dropping right into the map for game 1.
Here we go, TFF Aftershock versus Baron Besties, game 1. And they're just going to go for a classic 5-point, it looks like, here to start off this match.
Again, the early game, I think, is pretty weak from both of these sides. Nobody really wants to overstep their bounds. And this is something I've talked about a couple times before. I'm going to bring it up again. 80 carries. I love you if you don't bring heal. Marie Lee Sin bringing the cleanse, I think, versus the Veigar, the Sejuani, and the Braum. All very necessary choices. And Chrome alone on the Caitlyn bringing the barrier, recently buffed, really in a good spot right now. Let your enchanters take the cleanse. let your tanks take exhaust.
That's an interesting note there. Shout out to Rebelite. Actually was my boss when I first got hired here, so shout out there.
Oh, wow.
Respect to the OG, as they say. But now we're going to get straight into it. Just going to be a classic leash, it looks like, on both the bot sides here, and it's going to be a pretty standard adjustment here for both teams. Nothing really out of the standard.
I wouldn't mind Fallen Warrior just tagging this with a Q and and throwing a little bit of a stun on there, but it seems like both teams do want to give their junglers the leash, since we've got a bit of lobby chat here.
I mean, hey, maybe one day I'll do a tour, who knows? Either way, let's get into this game. I'm fine with some distractions, of course. We are here for the casters, after all.
Again, who cares about the players? Who cares about the game of League of Legends we're watching? We're here for us, the personalities, the casters. Oh, yeah. That's what everybody wants to hear.
Yeah, we are the mouthpiece that they have to listen to. They kind of have no choice. There's no alternate stream, That's just what they live with. But, pretty standard. I don't think there's going to be any trading early on. None of these champions are very strong early, especially since Jin can be a strong early pick. But with a Janna, I don't foresee more than just a bit of poke going over, and Braum can kind of stop any kind of further engages. So it's going to be a pretty chill, relaxed early game till full clears are here, and then we'll see where these junglers end up.
Yeah, I do think you hit the nail on the head there. The idea of this early game is really going to be which jungler makes their influence known first, and where is that influence going to be. I think we're probably going to end up seeing some sort of trade of objectives in the early game. First grubs for Dragon, as it is going to be the early Mountain Dragon. I do think TFF really does want this early Dragon for themselves. They love to have it if at all possible. And I do think Baron Besties don't mind having grubs. Their tower taking ability is a little weak in the most part if you look at everybody except Moxie. And, Gwen with some extra grubs on her back doesn't feel bad about having that extra tower shred.
Yeah, so, I mean, if they opt for that trade, but, they're actually going to defend this invade, so pretty nice stuff there from TFF here, making sure that they don't lose out here on this boop up. But it looks like they're going to go back in for Cocoa Puffs.
Yeah, they really want this blue buff taken off of Coco. They know they have the stronger early game with the Gwen. Double smites down, but it's Coco Puffs actually the one to pick it up. Bottom green now forced to run away, but red buff's on. IQ of a Coconut is rotating in. Thankfully, Skarner is a champion designed in the year 2024, so, you know, he's got a way to get over walls. But now it's actually Ember the Flame, the one in trouble. She's stuck in that baby cage, gonna get stunned up. Primordial Burst drop down, and it's Coco Puffs pick it up. First blood.
Yeah, Ember thinking that they could live there in that situation, not actually going to be able to get out of there, and gonna still have TP to get back here, so not going to be a complete disaster, but losing Flash there and not getting the blue buff earlier in that play is going to be pretty positive here for TFF.
Yeah, not losing that blue buff. They get the positive trading kills. It does go into the Sejuani. I think they'd rather have it on the Vigar, but that's a very, very minor thing at that point. It's a difference in 200 gold over the course of the game. I know a lot of AD carries love to complain about not getting the kills in their bottom lane, but, you know, it's an extra half a wave. It's not that much.
Yeah, and they're actually going to go forward here. Moxie might be able to get Coach Silent.
Nice job by stunning up there from Coco Puffs. Going to drop the stun as well off of that Permafrost. Skarner's on his way in. Pot of Greed wants to defend their top laner. The snips coming through from Moxie. That Conqueror healing, keeping them alive for quite some time. Pot of Greed, that's a big minion wave, though. I don't know if you want to trade fully in the face of that one. Coco Puffs trying to just zone off the members of the Baron Besties here. Let Coach Silent K regen up some HP. Coco Puffs going to interrupt that recall. Pot of Greed has to be careful, is going to dash away with that E. Moxie actually getting really low here off the minion autos.
Oh, no.
And it's the slam from Coach Silent K. You've got to respect the AoE on that E.
Oh, no. It was a party in the top lane there for quite a long time there, but Moxie making a slight mistake there, getting clipped by Coach K's E there from Mundo. I have no idea what that ability is called. I have not seen a Mundo in forever. But,
I know it has a name that's like either masochism or sadism. It's
yeah,
the W and the
theme.
E. The W and the E are. It's one of those two. It's hard. It's hard to tell. I should know it as on the play-by-play, but you know I haven't seen a Mundo in forever. I feel like I've got a leeway.
I feel
on
like
this
you
one.
got a pass. Yeah, I think you're fine. But other than that, they're just gonna go back to clearing up. Looks like Skarner's gonna head towards the top bot side actually on the clear. They're actually gonna match each other. So it looks like it's just going to be contested towards this dragon here in just a little bit.
Yeah, plenty of vision control available on the bottom side of the map here for Baron Besties. So they will know that Sejuani is down here, cleared out that control ward on the Dragon Pit. So Ember the Flame should have an idea of where the Sejuani is and where they're pathing. In the meantime, Fallen Warrior and Chrome Alone want to get a little contest here, but maybe walking up too far. There's the dash through the wall from Pot of Greed, a nice tornado as well to knock up that ROM. Still pretty tanky though with that Unbreakable, going to be able to shield himself up for a while, but it's Coco Puffs coming in with the flash, trying to get some extra damage down, trying to support the team. The exhaust comes down onto Marilia's Sin, but it's instantly cleansed away, but Chrome Alone is still going to find that first one. It's fourth shot coming down, trading support for support, has to flash away from that baby cage as Isaac with the Coconut is on the run. Chrome Alone ends up picking a double kill, and it's a nice trade again for TFF as hang on top of lane, Coach Silent K finds another solo kill.
I mean, this is the problem with Gwen. I mean, not the strongest champ early, but at the same time, TFF is just getting everything across the map. Yeah, I mean, this is just... everything is working in their favor currently, and they don't have the better scaling, in my opinion, so they do definitely like these early leads, and it'll really come down to Gwen later to catch up. Once the power spike comes in, usually not even one item is good enough for Gwen to really be able to shred through everyone. It needs to be that 2-item spike, so it'll be quite a while till Moxie is going to be online because of these kills.
Coco Puffs misses out on that dash. Should be able to still find the stun onto Ember the Flame here. IQ of a Coconut has that ult. The Primordial Burst comes down, flashes away from the Shockwave as well.
Outplayed,
stylish
right?
play into the mid lane. Yeah, fleet click abilities, they're pretty good. Who would have thought?
Well played there. I mean, Coco Puffs has been across the map. There really hasn't been a single beat missed here, as Pot of Greed is going to be trying to secure these grubs, going to grab up that second one, but might be forced away on this last one. Coach Silent K just threatening the area, but no other players here for TFF are in the area.
There's no smite. He knows there's no smite.
Oh, no.
Briefcase is going to come in, secure the grub. What a steal for Coach Silent K. And because of that passive, Mundo does in fact go where he pleases, and there's no way to CC him to lock him down. It was robbery there from the coach on the top side.
Mundo, I mean, Mundo's just doing work. Mundo doing Mundo things, going where he pleases, as he does. And, man, everything's just going TFF's way. Bot lane is at least a bit stable here, despite how the fight went earlier. the Cole is in the pocket of Chrome alone, so that's going to be a little bit concerning as far as how the gold will be distributed later. So just going to be looking towards this top side, it looks like, for Pot of Greed. Just going to reset here. Unless they look for a dive. I mean, he's sticking around here, unsure, but with the TP coming back.
No maximum dosage available for Coach Silent K. No TP either, so if they can get this wave pushed in, some nice extra damage, but for the most part, I think we were kind of expecting this to be a much more quiet early game. I wasn't expecting near kill a minute at this point in the game, maybe later, but for the most part, it's just been TFF Aftershocks happily punishing a lot of the proactivity from Baron Besties, and in terms of proactivity, Cocoa Puffs has been just all over the map. It's exactly what you want to see out of your early game Sejuani.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing about tank junglers. They are just about how you move around this map, and you're seeing Cocoa Puffs really take advantage of that factor. I mean, what makes our strongest team in NA, Team Liquid, so good is how Umti moves as Sejuani in general. So kind of taking a note out of that book there for Cocoa Puffs.
Sometimes to be the best, you gotta emulate the best, and not always, but Cocoa Puffs putting on his best cosplay here for the Sejuani game. 5 out of 6 KP already has that Zeke's in inventory. First stack of the Jungle Pets active, so he's got that 900 smite. Again, TFF, they have a good scaling composition. Caitlyn, obviously not the greatest in the late game, but it's no Jinx, it's no Kog'Maw, but she's no slouch. You've got Vigar, who's, infinitely scaling. Hang on, topside fight. Need to work from Moxie. Nice dodge out there from Coach Silent K. The ult is going to go a little wide from Cocoa Puffs, though. That Glacial Prison will not find its mark. Moxie still walking up, trying to be a little bit aggressive. I don't know if you want to take this trade, as, hang on, Pot of Greed is here, looking to try and get a stun down, has access to that Impale, is going to start pulling the Sejuani under the tower. You have to respect the amount of crowd control that the Skarner has, and Moxie will pick up there first.
And Skarner does Skarner things. Moxie kind of sticking around, doesn't want to make the same mistake again, but looking to secure this farm at the very least. Coach Silent K threatening the position. Pot of Greed just making sure nothing happens to their dear top laner. And looks like nothing will happen here.
And Pot of Greed still wants to help get this wave push. They know that Moxie wants this recall, and thankfully for the Gwen, she is immune, so she's not going to be able to take that briefcase to the face.
yeah, that is very fortunate here, as they just Agreed is just hugging Moxie in the top side here. Finally regened up enough HP, feels comfortable on finally backing and getting back to these camps.
Yeah, picking up the kill-offs Cocoa Puffs does mean that Moxie has the red buff and blue buff. Double buffs are pretty good for a melee top laner. They like that HP regen, they like the extra mana regen, but Cocoa Puffs actually wants revenge. Glacial Prison not available just yet, but they know Moxie doesn't have that Hallowed Mist flashing to get the knockup. Moxie wants to turn it around, though, making a trade! Immediately shuts down Coach Silent K, and now Cocoa Puffs in the 1v1 versus the Gwen with the stacked Conqueror. I don't think you want this one. Moxie making the moves happen up top side.
The party just keeps on going. There's no end to this top lane. And Cocoa Puff's gonna go back in.
Hang on, Moxie! No! You were doing so well, but Cocoa Puffs is just playing a tank, dodges out on that needlework, and it means that the snip can't come through, and Moxie goes down.
Yeah, wow. I mean, Moxie at least got back in the game for the most part, and the Asher's now completed means you do actually have some nice lane pressure coming into this second portion of the game, and all that pressure of diverting Cocoa Puffs here is going to allow Pot of Greed to capture this Cloud Drake, but they're going to trade over the grubs, and crucially, because of that steal earlier, this is going to allow them to get to 4, which is going to summon that 1 Void Might per wave, so pretty important stuff there.
Yeah, you slow down the soul take on what looks like to be either a Hextech or a Chemtech soul, and it's going to be a Chemtech soul, okay, but you do give up those Void Mites like we were talking about. Mundo, no slouch in terms of tower pushing either. He's not a Gwen, he's not a Tristana, but he'll take towers with the best of them. That what was it called? We just heard it. That E ability does a lot of damage to turrets. It gives him extra ED. It's good. We literally just heard it. Our producer was in earlier telling us it.
We did just hear it. Okay, blunt force trauma. There we go. See, we got this now. Concrete. We've said it out loud, so surely we don't forget it.
Surely. Spot of Greed is going to try and make a play here in mid lane. IQ of a Coconut will put them inside the baby cage. Cocoa Puffs is nearby. They're going to drop some CC on the Skarner. Impale available if they want to try and make a play out of this, but the burst comes through! Glacial Prison, Primordial Burst. Goodbye, Skarner's HP. Hello, another kill in mid.
Yeah, and the Veigar is getting very powerful. I'm pretty curious to see what the stat count is at the moment, since that is, you know, kind of the entire mechanic of why Veigar even exists as a champion. We could check that out later, but it looks like Live122 wants to. Okay, here we go. 116. Okay.
116. Whew. Yeah,
that's a good track.
Quickly in this early game, gonna get an extra stack off of Ember the Flame as she teleports in to mid. Yeah,
always a good sign when you have more stacks compared to your CS.
You know what? I think that's pretty true. Hang on. We've got the maximum dosage up here on the top side. Coach Silent K forced to flash away. Moxie, that needlework doing a lot of damage. That Conqueror plus the percentage health damage, putting in a lot of work. But Cocoa Puffs again. It's just junglers playing top lane this time around. Pot of Green is going to come in to try and support, but Cocoa Puffs with a nice dash away is not going to get caught up in that suppress. Yeah, again, it's just junglers playing top lane. This is the most top lane presence I think I've ever seen for junglers.
Yeah, and it's a Mundo. I'm never ganking a Mundo. I'm going to be honest. If I'm playing jungle here, as Coach Silent K is actually going to catch Pot of Greed.
Yeah, Pot of Greed. I think you've overstepped your bounds a little bit. They do have the teleport coming in from Moxie. No needlework, no ghost available, though. So just the teleport burn to make sure that Pot of Greed doesn't die in that exchange. What on earth are we watching up here top side?
I think I know exactly what we're watching, but I will not say the word, as some people consider it inflammatory from what I've heard.
Look, I know Sems is owner of Clown Gaming, but
exactly.
neither one of these teams is Clown Gaming, so I think we're getting a little bit too much tomfoolery in this game number one. But just taking a breather here as we got a minute. It is about a 4,000, a little bit more gold lead there for TFF Aftershock. Just slowly gaining leads for themselves. They got that early first dragon. They traded out the grubs. They got that one steal, which, like you said, netted them the 4, which has got them the first turret in mid lane, and now is going to get them a full tower in bottom side as well. It's not full with plates, but that sure is a heck of a lot of value.
Yeah, and they're looking to secure this Rift Herald. It will get spotted by Vision, but does Pot of Greed get over the wall in time?
The Flame has that ball in the pit. The smite comes through, so Cocoa Puffs will secure that one for the squad. And no contest to come through. Pot of Greed still just looking towards these top laners.
I was going to say, are we going back?
Yeah, but speaking of the top lane, as much as the brawls have been happening, another brawl. Hang on, Moxie getting stunned off the Glacial Prison. That CC combo just a little too good. I was just about to praise Moxie for the 40 CS lead. Immediately, he gets dropped by Coach Silent K's briefcase to the face.
This is pretty dangerous for Ember, but not actually going to go forward. And now Pot of Greed is here in the mid lane.
Looking for potential impale here. I think you just toss it out at some point. Lands the slow, but doesn't want to go for it. Now has 2. Liv is nearby as well. The Shockwave will only find 1. Now Fallen Warrior is the target. Has to flash away. The curtain call is opened up. Shot number 3. Shot number 4 looking to be tanked up by the berry from Chrome alone. Nicely done there. Tanking for your support. What a hero play.
Yeah, pretty fortunate there also for IQ of a Coconut there. The Braum shield was up as the Impale came through, so any potential damage was pretty much blocked entirely.
Yeah, I do wonder if Fallen Warrior is going for the Unbreakable Max first. This is sort of the new tech of Braum, I would say. You opt for the Unbreakable, the E-Max first. You go W second, Q third, because most of the time, you don't really care about the amount of damage that your Q does in lane. It scales with your HP. It's good enough once you get 3 points into it. He's doing 3 points E, then max Q, which, I respect enough. That's not bad.
Yeah, I think that's fine. And I do think, at least in this kind of lane where it's Caitlyn, you kind of do want a little bit more damage, or at least early on, so I don't know the exact order that it went through, but now Moxie's just going to do Gwen things, going to start hitting this turret, but going to take so much damage, might actually go down afterwards. We'll see.
Conqueror has the needlework. These top laners are just taking the face-up fight, and Coach Silent K, you cannot face-tank the Gwen. Percentage health true damage is pretty damn good.
Dodge a little! Please! Mundo regens a lot, but Gwen regens a little bit more, in my opinion, so definitely going to have to dodge out a bit on the next engagement, so we'll see if that ends up being the adaptation here for Coach Silent K. But another drag going to the pockets of TFF, and that's going to continue their snowball. They are sitting at about a 4,500 gold lead, so I think they're still sitting pretty for now.
Yeah, I will say the extra shield and heal power and tenacity is not the most useful for this roster as hang on. Code Puff's just gonna, walk in, find a last auto. IQ Coconut does all the work, and the jungler picks up the credit. I feel like I've seen that story happen a lot this game. Pot of Greed, maybe the one in trouble though. Spawn Warrior's gonna tag him with that Winter's Bite. Moxie is here. It's nice. Glacial Fissure to disengage away from the rest of the squad. It's a 4-on-4 here down in the bottom side. And it's just gonna be disengaged away from him. Nobody wants to take the face-up fight.
Yeah, I mean, they don't really have a good utility to actually go in on the side of Baron Besties. I mean, they do have Flash and Pale, but it's pretty inconsistent with these longer range carries. So, and if you don't grab the Caitlyn, that's going to be a pretty disastrous look there. So, not too unexpected that they didn't go in fully here, and it allows Coach Silent K at least a little bit of time to catch up here to this Gwen.
Yeah, I do want to point out, interesting to note here in terms of build paths, Chrome alone is not opting for that Infinity Edge or Rapid Fire second. They have the Collector, but it looks like they're going to opt for more of a lethality-focused build. I wouldn't be surprised if that was either Opportunity or Hubris coming in next on the chopping block. There isn't a ton of tanking happening on the side of Baron Besties, so it's not too surprising to see them opt for it, but I know Crit Caitlyn is really the flavor right now, so I'm wondering if this is just something that they're a bit more comfortable on.
Yeah, not something you see too often at all, to be honest. I mean, I've seen the Opportunity Rush instead of the Collector. That's been something that I have seen prop up just a little bit, but seeing a full lethality option here is pretty surprising, considering you're going to have to go through a Skarner and a Gwen to actually get to that back line here.
Yeah, I think especially considering Caitlyn is the real tank shredder of this composition. You don't have a Gwen on your side who's going to be able to do a lot of consistent tank damage. You don't have... you have your Vigar who wants to go more for one-shots, especially with this more safe Roa Seraph build. There's no Leandrines, no Blackfire Torch. It is really just based on, hey, I've got enough AP in the back pocket to one-shot a Squishy, and maybe after, 30 seconds of fight time, I can take down Pot of Greed, but, it's going to take me a while to get there.
Yeah, I mean... We'll see how it ends up going. I mean, at least I know this build definitely does hurt if you're able to land that Q and that ultimate here from Caitlyn, so that'll be a big threat. And right now, yeah. I think Sejuani is fully scaled up. Yeah, I mean, you pretty much don't need anything else. The Zeke's and the Warmogs we talked about, yeah.
Yeah, we talked about it in the pregame. Warmogs plus Zeke's. These are the tank champion items that are being built right now. It's the Heartsteel for Coach Silent K as well, just trying to get some extra HP value out of that item as well. I think it's a little criminally underbuilt as Pot of Greed may be in trouble here in his own jungle. Does have Liv to back them up, an Ember of the Flame on the top side, stopping that Rift Herald from taking the whole turret down. But it is just going to be the ref buff denial. And TFF just slowly but surely taking control of the map, not letting Baron Besties have an inch of Summoner's Rift here.
Yeah, and I think that kind of leans into what their win con kind of is, which is kind of not going for the team fight and just kind of spreading out, taking these little skirmish 3v3s that you don't really want a 5v5, I think. And Moxie's just going to walk into these two tanks, not going to really matter too much, and TFF is going to kind of pull them across the map as Veigar is pushing the bot side already, and top side there's a lane crashing and no one is there to catch the minions.
Yeah, if you're a Baron Besties fan at this point, your hopes are in the Moxie basket. You want this Gwen to get strong. You know that they're going to be able to take out the tanks that Sejuani and Mundo, who are going to be such a problem for the rest of your squad. And if Moxie is strong enough, if they hit that 2-item power spike soon enough, it looks like they're going for the Lich Bane second here on the Gwen. I know a lot of times you see the Riftmaker as a second item option, but if Moxie can get strong enough, if they can, manage to be that much of a team fight menace, if they're that far ahead, it's not actually Lich Bane, that is a Cosmic Drive. Another item I don't see very often.
Yeah, I'm surprised to see a Riftmaker, actually. I know people have fallen off the Riftmaker train, especially with all the nerfs to that item, but I think in a game where there's 3 tanks, I'd much prefer it.
Nice, Hallowed Mist there. The trap is going to come through, but Moxie's just able to walk away from it. Thank you, Mercury Treads. But yeah, again, your eggs are in a Moxie basket. They have all the gold for the team right now, and if they can fight around Moxie, if Moxie's allowed to just stack the Conqueror, get the needlework in, free hit on these tanks, it's going to be a tough time as Pot of Greed is looking for an engage. Speaking of that needlework, Noxie wants to make it happen on this bottom side of the map. A nice trap there from Chrome Alone, though. The Impale's only going to find one, but Chrome Alone has shut down the enemy top laner. It is killing spree for the Caitlyn, and now the rest of Baron Besties are going to fall. It's a nice Glacial Prison there from Cocoa Puffs. A good cleanse from Marie Lee Sin to get them walking away. I'm on soon from Liv as well to just guarantee the rest of the team escapes, but you're using all these items defensively, all these spells defensively, and TFF are just continuing to march forward.
Yeah, I mean, that was a unique angle. You know, that's a Skarner angle for the engage, but it just was way too far forward. And with Moxie getting caught out a little bit too far forward as well, it's just going to go all the way at TFF, and they're going to claim their third dragon and put themselves on Dragon Soul Point here, coming into the late game here.
Yeah, something I wanted to talk about before, but we've just had a lot of fights since then. The Chemtech Dragons individually themselves aren't going to do too much for TFF, but it's the fact that you're taking them away from Baron Besties. You're not letting the squishier comp with the Enchanter, with the Orianna, with the Skarner get that extra heal and shield power. You're not letting them have the extra tenacity versus your Vigar, versus your Sejuani, versus your Braum. So if Baron Besties can pick up this next dragon, it's looking good for them. They can start to get those extra stats and, you know, be able to fight a little bit more comfortably, but I just don't see a way that they actually can get into the pick here and get into their own jungle for the most part, as TFF, again, is just running the map.
Yeah, I think the name of the game is 5v5, but they're just too far down now. It's 12k gold down, and we're going to get a nice replay, Shadow Production, as a Pot of Greed's going to slam in Braum there. But with that E max that you were talking about, it just doesn't do enough damage, and Moxie's going to get clipped by the last headshot at the end there. A nice flash away here from Chrome alone is going to actually keep him up there, as just going to find the damage on Pot of Greed. Nice stun out of the wall, and that's just going to be another kill. At the very least, they're able to cleanse and get away here with the help of the Janna, but ooh,
Ember the Flame has to flash away from that baby cage. But yeah, it's just been consistently clean counter death balling and team fighting here from TFF Aftershocks. This is sort of what you want to see from your top seed in the league. If they're not playing this cleanly, if they're showing a lot of scruff, a lot of weakness, a lot of big mistakes in the early game, you start to get concerned for what they look like going up against teams like Conduit Esports, teams like Dorado Gaming. But they have just been clean in this game. They haven't made a lot of mistakes, and for all the top lane scuffles that there have been, they've come out ahead on them.
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, you're not too concerned. Mundo's a low economy champion. You don't really care too much about how that goes, and they're just going to force down this Baron. It's going to be pretty hard for them to enter, but they don't really have good defense for this Skarner. The 3 traps against the wall, but they're not even going that direction, and they're just going to peel off this Baron, it looks like. But a nice stun.
4v4, it's a nice cage. Liv is already down to 1 HP. The Shockwave's going to find 3, but where's the damage? Where's the follow-up? It's a nice impale, but IQ of a Coconut picks up Ember. The curtain call is open, but it's just to close the curtains on Baron Besties. Coach Silent K teleports in to try and find some emphasis on the play. Really Sin has to try and walk away, but now you're stuck between a rock and a hard place, and that hard place is a hell of a strong Mundo, who's just going to be able to walk forward, take that kill. And it looked good for Baron Besties for a second there, but TFF immediately shut it down.
Yeah, that cage was massive there for IQ of a Coconut, able to start off that fight in a pretty safe manner, and then with the Shockwave coming down, there was just no damage on top since Jhin was in that ultimate. Kind of a concerning combo because you don't really have the follow-up damage you normally would with a different 80 carry there, so it's just not going to end up amounting to much, and TFF will secure the Baron 5 for 3, I believe, so pretty good stuff there.
It was a nice attempt there from Baron Besties, and I think if they aren't down around 10,000 gold before that fight starts, it's a lot better for them. If your Orianna does have that 2 items, if your Jhin is able to, you know, start to break through these healthier front lines, maybe you can find some work there, but unfortunately, you didn't have your fed top laner there. The teleport came through from Coach Silent K, and Moxie was just a little bit too late to the play. If you're going to take that 4v4 team fight, I think one of those 4 does have to be Disc Gwen.
That is very, very true. And also, I think with the needle working, it would have been a ton of damage on top of the people who did get Shockwave, so I like your call out there. I think it was very insightful.
I am well known for my insight here on the Titan Esports.
But your play-by-play, that's weird. Maybe you take up some color. Yeah.
I've been doing a little color here and there. I'm starting to get into it, but I just have a love for shouting at the bright colors on the pretty screen. It appeals to my 8 brain, as the inhibitor is going to be taken down here. TFF going to break open the base of the Baron Besties here. Cocoa Puffs happy to just continuously walk forward. Knows that there isn't a lot of threat. The Impale is down. It's just onto 1. That baby cage is going to stop Pot of Greed from getting him into the rest of his team. Chrome alone goes dominating. Lethality don't be damned. Hang on, massive shockwave though from Ember the Flame. It's shut down going over to the Jhin. The curtains are opening up on Baron Besties. They are trying to find their opportunity. The Glacial Prison doesn't find the stun there. A nice snipe from Marie Sin is going to pick up a double kill, and now Moxie is able to free fire away on the Gwen. IQ of Coconut though, another nice cage keeping them alive with the Monsoon doing some great supporting for the team. Marie Sin with the bouncing grenade can't find the kill. It's a massive primordial burst, but it doesn't find the kill. It's shut down over to Ember the Flame. Baron Besties punishing the mistakes of TFF. find their way back into the game.
They're still 10k down, but they got a huge fight. Shout out there. I mean, I think Chrome alone going down means that there isn't much pressure as far as consistent damage goes, since Vhagar is mostly just burst. So they're able to just kind of stall out this fight, and Moxie has no real threat of going down fully. And now they're able to push down this mid lane turret and maybe get the dragon off the back of it if they do catch Coach Silent K. But the W there is going to be able to actually survive there. Now they're going to peel off to this dragon. They need to secure it so their soul does get denied.
Coco buffs a little off to the side here, but you know, still pretty tanky on this Sejuani. We're looking for some tank damage here. Moxie's finally over the wall. Stun's going to come down onto Marie Lee Sin, but Coco Puffs, you're not that tanky, my friend. It's more shutdown gold going over to the Jhin. Pot of Greed now trying to walk away. It's a great shockwave onto 3 again. Ember, the flame, just keeps hitting them. Coach Silent K is that Mundo though, so he's going to start to regen up a lot, but down to jungler, down to smite. It looks like TFF still going to try and contest this dragon. This does feel a bit risky. 4v5, they know a lot of important cooldowns are burned, so they're going to look for the plates. A huge place Fissure onto 4 from Fallen Warrior. The engage comes through. TFF say, damn your jungler, we do not need them. Coach Silent K is having to walk forward. Fallen Warrior will fall like his name, but it's a double kill for IQ of a Coconut. Liv trying to walk away, but it's a massive slam from the blunt force trauma of Coach Silent K. Ember the Flame trying to run away, and it's just another huge win for TFF. The headshot won't find the kill here. One more auto does manage to lock it down. The collective proc coming through from Chrome alone. And it looked hopeful for Baron Besties for a second, but TFF smack him down with the wallet diff.
That was a wallet diff, and the stat sticks are ringing true here. Coach Silent K pretty much immortal during that fight with the help of the Warmogs as well. And now Pot of Greed has to try and get through this big front line here to at least prevent the end of the game here with the help of Marie Lee Sin. Gonna look for it. But there's just no damage.
Yeah, again, it's Mundo. He kind of just goes where he pleases, and unfortunately, with Baron Besties not picking up that dragon off the fight, it does mean that he's going to be a Chemtech soul over to TFF, and it's, again, not the most impactful soul in the game, but once again, it's the denial of those extra stats, of that extra time for Baron Besties to be on the map, to be able to be here and play the game, but TFF punished on that mistake pretty heavily, but they're still 10k goal ahead.
Yeah, and I'd say actually Chemtech Soul is quite beneficial for tanks in specific because, you know, the more HP you have, the longer you have those bonus resistances. So at the very least, they have even more benefit of having this soul. So I'd be pretty shocked if Baron Besties were able to actually come up with a win here, despite all the difference here. So they're gonna need to kind of scrape away a crazy skirmish. They need to find a big pick on a side lane. I don't think 5v5s are viable right now, so they really need to find an opening on one player and then kind of snowball that into a full advantage here. But it looks like they're gonna go for the opposite.
Has to be around Moxie, and Moxie now left alone in the side lane. Coach Silent K wants to try and find the pick. There's a nice Howlin' Mist to get away from that Glacial Prison and the Winter's Bite. The headshot, the ace in the hole will come through. Moxie will get Guardian shielded up and not actually take that much damage on the half of that. But it is a potential angle here for Pot of Greed. They're just going to look to get back into their base. They understand that the base is the target of this push. The inhibitor is the threat here. Third inhibitor goes down. It's a great baby cage from IQ of a Coconut. Keeps Ember the Flame locked up, but no extra follow-up just yet. Glacial Fissure just to stall a bit of extra time. Moxie on the side, keeping these alive. It's a massive shock. We want the 4 to the impale into the 3. Is this the fight Baron Besties are looking for? The wallets are just too big. The combo was good, but the wallets, the gold is just better for TFF Aftershocks. The base ripped to shreds. It's a triple kill for IQ of a Coconut. Give him the quadra. Are we going to exceed the penta? Coach Silent K wants to give it to him. No, denied by the end of the game. TFF will take game 1.
So close to a penta there, TFF. I mean, you saw Mundo is just walking at them kind of for fun. Just getting tickled as they go forward there, and you could see at the damage chart still also contributing quite the hefty sum, but you could see all the eggs were in the Moxie basket at the end of the day. There really was nothing else Baron Besties could play for there, and yeah, I mean, kind of an expected result after how kind of the mid game ended up shaking out, and that I'd say not the cleanest snowball, but at least clean enough to get that victory here for TFF.
I was gonna say, not the cleanest snowball on earth. The result says 1-0 for TFF, but there were some moments there where Baron Besties showed some signs of life, and TFF, I think, have to be a little bit more worried coming into game 2, because if they're making combos like that happen coming into this next game and you aren't 10,000 gold ahead, you gotta be a little bit more careful with how you take these fights, and I think we really need to see TFF clean it up if they want to make this series a clean 2-0.
Yeah, I mean, they picked a comp with a singular identity. TFF only picked one champ that counters that singular identity, and, you know, it wasn't enough to actually end up getting this victory here. Personally, I think Orianna's just too weak as a champion. I'm sorry, I love Orianna, but this champion needs help. There are champs that do well into tanks, and Orianna, unfortunately, it just isn't one right now. It's more of a setup champion. But if you're playing a setup champ, there's just a lot better ones. I mean, Hui comes to mind, has the same kind of AoE nature, and you're able to actually lock down a full team here. So
yeah,
comp not exactly working out to the best of their ability there, but I think there were openings here. You saw the skirmishing was actually going pretty decently here. I feel like mechanics wise, I saw Baron Besties has most of it in the tank. I think there isn't too big of a discrepancy there, and I think they could stand a chance if they kind of lock up their team play just a little bit better in this early game.
Yeah, we'll have to see what ends up changing coming into game number 2. We are going to take a short break while we get that draft settled up for you, and we get you back onto the rift here for game number 2 between TFF Aftershock and Baron Besties. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Let's have a bit of fun till I downfall. My love, if you feel like I do right now, don't say you're on the run to the other side. My love, you say you wanna try, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose.
Welcome back, everybody. We are here after what was a very exciting game one between Baron Besties and TFF Aftershock. Aftershock ends up taking home the win that time around. We'll have to see if they're going to be here in game two, taking away the clean 2-0, maintaining their lossless record, or if Baron Besties can surprise. Because I do want to say, after the way that first game went, I think some of their late game plays showed some promise for the Besties.
Yeah, I think their teamfight cohesion seemed good, despite kind of how far behind they were in the early game. I think if they patch up a little bit on how they actually move around the map with that Skarner in particular that was left through bans, they could actually have some pretty good potential here to actually take a game, which is really the goal here. You want to take the game, and maybe you can squeeze out a second if the cards go in your favor here for Baron Besties.
Yeah, I think even just being the first team to take a game off of TFF would be, a selling point for your squad. You can say, hey, we may not be first seed in the league, we may not be undefeated, but we can take a game off the undefeated teams. We can play up to their level, which means that we can fight, again, for that playoff contention, which is what all these teams want. As we're about halfway through the season, after this week is done, we'll be nearing up on that halfway mark, getting to those 4-5 game records, and that's where you start really telling where teams, if they're going to start making that run towards top 4, or if they're going to start falling off.
Yeah, pretty curious to see what we end up seeing in this next game. Will it be a bunch of takes again? Will it be top lane action 24/7 yet again? And then it doesn't even matter what happens at the top lane in the middle of the game. We'll see what actually ends up kind of coming true within this next game. We'll see any adaptations. I mean, as far as bans go, it was super heavy on AD carries there. We ended up on Jhin, Caitlyn, which not exactly the highest priority picks. Corki, the mysterious disappearance of Corki is,
Corki,
to be studied.
Making their way through the pick ban was kind of surprising, but hey, not seeing Corki is pretty happy for you. Maybe if these teams want to draft a little bit better, they can give a shout out to our sponsor for tonight, ProComps.gg. They are our sponsor for tonight, and a game changer app for the League of Legends community. It's not just like any of your other tools, it's your personal draft coach, perfect for both teams and players. In fact, you can even pair with any of the other apps you use. ProComp stands out with features like custom champion pools, personalized tier lists, and live draft advice. You can think of it like having a virtual coach and a strategy toolkit all wrapped up into one. They offer real-time champ and ban recommendations. They already have well over 200,000 downloads with thousands of daily users just like you. ProComps is user-friendly and is 100% free. It's a no-brainer to at least give it a go. You can download ProComps now and you'll experience a whole new level of drafting power in your league games. You can go to ProComps.gg, download it from Overwolf, or click on the panel located below our stream.
And we're going straight into draft out of that, so, get your insights here, and then you can go get it at home as well from ProComps right afterwards. So let's see what they end up banning. It's going to be the Aphelios taken away yet again. So let's see Jinx probably again, and then we're going to see Zeri.
Yeah, I do wonder if the draft is going to stay the same. I wonder if Baron Besties staying on the red side here, if they're going to change something up immediately. Taking away the Caitlyn, that was such an issue for their bottom lane. I like the idea of Jhin Janna into the Caitlyn, trying to match the range, trying to be scrappy, but that Caitlyn Braum was just a little bit too tanky and a little bit too brawly for them to be able to handle.
Yeah, and the Zeri is going to get taken out yet again. Last time was a Viego on this particular ban, but here's the Jinx getting pushed down the rotation. So what are they going to leave up? It's going to be the Brand, the Viegos. These are the two champs they did end up banning last game, so we'll see what ends up going through the ban phase here now.
Carry bans. No Corki, I think is just so shocking for both of us. We've been watching too much pro play. Corki's just a little bit too good. It is the Brand, so the Viego is going to be allowed through if TFF wants to pick that one up first rotation. Again, it would leave up the Skarner for Baron Besties again, that I think was a big part of the problem that TFF was having in that mid and late game, trying to finish out the game, but their priorities on the Sejuani, Cocoa Puffs, putting on a hell of a performance in the early game at the very least, so I think grabbing that one for themselves again is not too shocking.
Yeah, a strong champion, pretty simple to play, makes everything very simple as far as finding picks in the early game or coordinating how your team play is going to go, and it allows you to go in a special comp direction with a lot of melees. So pretty interesting kind of lock in for the first pick, and then it's going to be Skarner as a response. But Ezreal. A safer AD carry, actually can do damage on top of combo ultimate, so pretty good to see there. I think Jhin was a problem for them in the last game where they couldn't really combo off of the Impale or the Shockwave in that last game, so that Draven is going to get locked in.
Now, I did want to point out before the AD carry was locked in for TFF that this Ezreal is technically flexible. We've been seeing a lot of mid lane Ezreal up in the upper echelons of the LEC and the LCS recently. I don't know if Baron Besties mid laner, Ember the Flame right now, has an Ezreal in their back pocket. I mean, she might, she could. I'd be interested to see if she does, but most likely I think we're going to be seeing that Ezreal on the bottom side. And to counter out the Draven, it's the Soraka. Okay, we are looking for kind of scrappy bottom lanes, but at the very least, pretty poke heavy.
Yeah, I mean, you put the circle on the circle, and then that's the counterplay for the Draven, so kind of funny there. But I mean, Draven Braum is kind of a classic duo, you know, very lane dominant there, where if you ever clip anyone with the Braum Q, you're gonna get stunned most likely with the help of the Draven E there. And mid lane ban's gonna be pretty much similar, but Veigar gonna get taken off the table. Does not want to deal with that lane matchup again. And we'll see what ends up getting locked in that lane. And it's going to be Trundle banned again.
Yeah, TFF not changing up their bans at all. Happy with how game one went for the most part, I will say. Again, I think just banning the Trundle away, not letting the Sejuani have that opportunity to get counterpicked like that is a good call. And you were calling it out earlier in the end of the last game. The Hui is going to be the pickup in mid lane here for Ember the Flame this time around. You said Oriana was kind of weak. Hui is kind of strong. Hey, they're locking in the Hui.
Yeah. And now we're going to see Lux mid. It is actually going to go through. That was a ban that was dropped. So now Lux going to show up. I've been seeing this champ a little bit more, actually quite powerful as one of the premier burst mages currently. There aren't that many. They're actually quite strong. And the Viego that went through all the ban phase is going to get locked in. So that means it's Sejuani top, I believe?
It's either Viego top or Sejuani top. I wonder what their preferred matchup is here for Coach Silent K. Either way, it is going to be a tank matchup there for Baron Besties, grabbing that Ornn for themselves. Really interesting lock-ins here, I think, across the board. The Viego Lux things that were banned away in Game 1 managed to sneak their way through the ban phase here in that second half. Yeah, it is going to be the Sejuani top for Coach Silent K, and Cocoa Puffs on the Viego this time around. So something's changing up here.
Surprisingly, I've played a lot of Sejuani top, and I'll tell you right now, you do not want to be playing into an Ornn at all.
Wait,
because
hang on.
Oh.
Hang on, because I'm looking at the bottom of the screen here. I don't know if that's a mistake from the production side, but I see Ornn. So it is Moxie on the Hui on the top side, and it's Ember the Flame on Ornn in mid. I wonder if they're going to be swapping lanes.
Players, maybe?
Either Moxie's going to be headed towards mid lane on the Hui, maybe they have a back pocket Hui, or if Ember the Flame is really just going to be running the Ornn versus this Lux and just, you know, stalling out the lane, not letting Lux get anything done.
That is definitely possible. But let me just real quick finish my point. You don't want to be playing Sejuani into Ornn because Sejuani is all about one-shotting someone in the top side.
Yes.
You just go for the one-shot with Ignite and TP.
Ignite. Yep.
And if you miss the one-shot, that champ is turbo useless.
Well, you know, you're not up against an Ornn, but you are up against a mage. I know you were complaining earlier on the broadcast about all the AP champions running around the map. So how do you feel about a Hui? I mean, he's definitely more one-shottable, but I worry that your health bar is going to be looking a little low before you can even get to that point of trying to one-shot him.
Yeah, I mean, Hui is very high skill champion. I feel like anyone below the best pros in the world are going to have a hard time playing this champion. I will say people have found ways to make him easier, you know, kind of flow charts like, oh, if you're in a team fight and it's like a bottleneck, oh, just always QE. It just makes sense. Or, you know, if everyone found out, oh, EW is just the easiest thing in the world. You just click EW, you deny space, and that's how you kind of play him. But I think if you watch the best plays, they don't actually use those easier tools. They use the QW spam from 2,000 miles away.
Yeah,
and
Severing Bolt and EQ Fear, I think especially, is a big tool for them. It's a slow-moving skill shop, so you can use it to kind of zone your opponents into the spot you want them to go to. Yeah, it looks like it is going to be Ember the Flame up there running in the top side. And speaking of up here in the top side, immediately he's going to spot out the shenanigans happening. As all 5 members of TFF are going to be up here trying to get some vision, maybe looking for a cheeky kill on someone who is window shopping or is alt-tabbed in another screen. But everybody's paying attention this time around. No such shenanigans will happen.
Yeah, Pot of Greed is going to spot IQ of a Coconut on that bush and actually going to also get the ward down. So they're going to have a bunch of intel here for the Baron Besties. They're going to know exactly that. Well, most likely Viego did not cross and is going to start on this top side, but they don't really have a pure confirmation of that. So we'll see what they end up doing as far as actual pathing goes. But it looks like it was going to be a match top side to bot side. for both sides here.
We get a little sight of the chat there, just some GLHS going across the board. It's nice to see good manners from the players, even if we're being PM in the early game. Double poke landing on Fallen Warrior. They're already under 3/4 HP. Lane's over. It's doomed. GG, go next.
Yeah, if this was 4 seasons ago, that's a Kleptomancy plus 5 gold. GG.
Yeah, Kleptomancy and a Mana Flow and a Scorch proc. It's just, it's already not looking good. But again, I do want to point out 80 carries going barrier. This is the meta nowadays. If you're not caught up on this, 80 carries, take your barriers, take your cleanses if you need them. Let your supports take the ignite, take the heal, take the exhaust if they have to. It's just how the bottom lane meta has shifted up now that Ghost is kind of dead and gone.
Rest in peace. I actually liked that summoner, but it was extremely polarizing in like very heavy advantage lanes, so good to see it go. Barrier a little bit more safe, doesn't provide as much kind of initiative as Ghost did provide, so at least good that they are swapping things up. Moxie actually going to take a pretty hefty chunk here, going to have to pop a pot, but looks like IQ of Coconut already did earlier, so going to be pretty even here nonetheless.
Nice little poke there from EEQQ there from Moxie, the standard in-lane poke combo there. I do want to say, I'm an Enchanter player by trade. I love my Namis, I love my Jannas, so getting healed back into my arsenal of inventory here for those Enchanters who liked building the healed and shield power, I'm personally happy with, at the very least. So it's good to see it come back into fashion, and I'm glad we're not just stuck with the stale every 80 carry takes Ghost because it's 15 seconds of free movement speed anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely was a little bit too powerful. Seeing it toned back is definitely good, and having that flexibility of the summoner spell is another one of those choices that you would like to see here.
Needs to be a little careful here. A nice little grab back. IQ of a Coconut, though, wants to flash forward, doesn't find the light binding, so Moxie will be able to survive the exchange. But speaking of surviving the exchange, Separate Flame. Careful up there at the top side. I know you were mentioning that Coach Simon K.
The ignite. Where's the ignite? Oh my god.
Yeah, flash on the Sejuani, no ignite. So already not passing the golden test there for the top lane. Flash is a little bit more, utility based in the mid and late game. It will be really nice.
This champion is not good in top.
It'll be nice to be able to flash ult
ignite.
some guys in the late game, but early game, you're not going to get much done against an Ord, despite what we're seeing here with the already 9 or 10 CS lead in the Sejuani's favor.
Yeah, as now they're going to be shoving into this bot side. It looks like there is going to be maybe potential 3v3 under turret here, but it looks like the lane is not going to crash here. So just a bit of poke is going to go over, and Pot of Greed is going to see Cocoa Puffs on this bot side and actually has the level advantage here.
Yeah, I think just to camp up on Pot of Greed right now, Pot of Greed skipping over that Gromp means that they won't have that last little bit of XP they need to get to level 4. They need one more camp to grab it, but it is, for the most part, a pretty quiet early game. No shocking scuffles this time around, no top lane camps. It is a true double tank matchup, so I don't think we're going to be seeing any jungles intervening up here unless absolutely necessary for something like the Grubs or the Rift Herald, but for the most part, I think we're going to be seeing a much slower early and mid game here in this game number 2.
Yeah, and I think that's a good thing here for Viego. Of course, not the strongest early game jungler, I'd say, right now, especially with the build going, which actually is going to be Bork in this game, it looks like. So
it's either Bork or Kraken. It's one of the two. I know they both build out of the recurve bows. Moxie and IQ, we're going to trade a little bit here. That ward will spot out Cocoa Puffs. It's not in the bush, but it does spot out the river entrance, so they will have full info on where the Viego is. And Pot of Greed actually immediately wants to make a counter gank here. IQ of a Coconut pulled away from Moxie, though, and now has to be careful of the Viego coming up with that stun. The damage combo coming through. It's a nice fear, though, to keep them alive for just that little bit longer. Moxie will manage to stay alive. It's a nice counter gank from Cocoa Puffs. But now, maybe in trouble here in mid lane. Actually has to lose that flash in the scuffle there. But Pot of Greed does manage to stay alive.
Yeah, I mean, at least not burning too many any summoners besides the Skarner flash there. So overall net positive here for TFF. And looks like Moxie wants to stay for this wave. I think this is too greedy. You need your jungler to come back if you actually want to catch this. So gonna have to give it up, especially since IQ of a Coconut now level 6.
Final Spark, Final Spark. Where do you think Moxie's going to be standing? You've got vision on him for just a second there. Do you know where he's going to be standing? It's a nice sidestep, though. It's just going to clear out that wave, make sure that IQ of Coconut has a nice recall. But yeah, that's the wave clear way right there. Doesn't even need to QE. Should probably just QE this next little batch of minions, but IQ gets a nice shove in and will get themselves a nice recall as their jungler Cocoa Puffs will go and take those grubs on the other side of the map.
Yeah. default trade here, but there's no dragon on the bot on that bot side. Potagri not there yet. Actually did a little bit of a detour towards the top side, so not gonna have the pressure, especially since I feel like throughout this entire game, surprisingly, the Ezreal Soraka has just been pretty much dominating as far as how lane prio has come through. They are missing a bit of CS, but that doesn't matter as much here, and they also were able to get it early back here for the Sheen, so I'd say you're pretty fortunate here for Mary Lee Sin, but they're not able to actually convert that to any advantages just yet.
Yeah, I do like the early Sheen. I like the early call for Chrome Alone as well. You know that there's not going to be a lot of, like, super heavy trades and exchanges happening in the early game until you start getting that anti-heal versus the Soraka. So you want to just get that extra gold. I say that as Potagri actually wants to find their way in. Somehow that doesn't land the suppress. I don't think it was right on top of Fallen Warrior, but they managed to walk their way away. A rock to the face is the only punishment they get this time around.
Yeah, but this is just establishing that lane dominance, and with Cocoa Puffs on the top side, they should actually just commit to this dragon here, but they have no info on that as Cocoa Puffs is just going to walk in and take this red buff. Moxie has full lane control here.
Yeah, this is kind of what Hwei is allowed to do. Ultimate's available for both mid laners if they do want to take a heavier trade, but for the Baron Besties, they are going to finally be able to get their hands on this dragon. The trade will come to fruition, if not just a little bit late, and you see it on the pings. Coach Silent K actually wants to rotate down into this mid lane here. There's no vision for Moxie. They are playing towards the bottom side. They know where their jungler is. They know where their bottom lane is as well, so playing it safe. I don't even know if they have full information on the roam, but just making sure that they're not going to get caught up by something like that.
Yeah, playing it pretty safe here. A nice back is going to come through here from the bot side of TFF. And now, Silent K, just, you know, chilling. A nice elbow burn there on the Draven ultimate there to go back to base. And looks like they're going to full clear on this bot side. And we're just getting a bunch of resets as we kind of transition towards a little bit later here. Oh, yeah, played it 24 times. Okay.
The first 3 weeks of Divinity. So the Sejuani is something that TFF is happy to not only have on their side, but also to flex between Silent K and Cocoa Puffs, depending on those lane matchups that they want to take. It's an interesting stat to see, because because not only is there no Ignite, which is the normal sauce, I would say, for the Sejuani top, but it is also just something that you don't see very often nowadays. I know Broken Blade recently in the LEC picked it up, had a nice performance against Kana on the Gnar, but I still wouldn't call it a common top laner by any means, even with how good health stacking is currently.
Yeah, definitely something that is a little bit more reserved for kind of a niche flex, and that's kind of what we saw here as well. And it kind of pivoted their comp to be a little bit less tank heavy, I'd say, by putting in this top side rather than jungle. Gonna actually take a little bit of poke, not too much damage to be honest. Hwei kind of needs first item to really threaten any kills early on. Just really good at kind of poking and staying safe in the early game, and then transitioning towards being that killer towards the mid game.
I'm going to voice my own complaints here because I have played quite a bit of Hwei. I am a support by trade, but, you know, mid is my secondary. I get filled there every once in a while. And I will say, I think the secret tech for Hwei that people still, for some reason, have not discovered and have not locked in on, Horizon Focus first item is just broken on this champion. You can easily hit over 10,000 damage with the item by the end of the game. Getting it first just means your kill threat goes higher. If you sit on a tier, plus this item, your damage spike on that first item is so high.
That's interesting. I haven't tried that. I've only had it. I usually just rush it a second item, not first. So pretty interesting insight there.
Here, Cocoa Puffs is going to steal away that blue buff. Liv immediately has to flash away from the Glacial Fissure. I like the aggression here from TFF again, just trying to make something happen in this enemy jungle. They don't want to see this enemy team just scale up for free. Cocoa Puffs is waiting in the wings inside his own mist, but is just going to be forced to walk away. No exchange happening for the team. No engage available just yet as Moxie may be in trouble. It's the burst combo from Lux. That final spark, the Lucent Singularity means first blood over to IQ of a Coconut.
Yeah, and that's truly a classic here. Viego plus a burst mage. I mean, traditional, you usually see Annie, but instead we're just slotting in that Lux. So the 2v2 working out here in the way of TFF, and they've kind of drafted themselves a bit of a pick comp. Obviously, they have the Sejuani and the Lux here to all help for those Viego resets, which will be their win con as they go towards the late game. So already seeing that in action is pretty good, and that's going to start off our first of our kills. A little bit slower paced of a game, but it's definitely maybe more advantageous here for TFF in the long run.
Yeah, 10-minute first blood, pretty slow, but it does mean that Cocoa Puffs and IQ of the Coconut now, with their first recall is coming through. It is going to be that Blade of the Rune King you called out earlier for Cocoa Puffs. Getting his own sword. Has to buy it in the shop, which, feels a little bad for the champion, but, it's fair. We are all about equality here on Summoner's Rift, so even if everyone else has to buy it, it means you have to buy it too. But it does mean 6 grubs available for TFF. Double Void Mites on turrets. As I'd say that, but it is going to be Coach Silent K and Ember the Flame actually teleporting down to bottom lane to help out with a scuffle. We did see Pot of Greed there, having to flash away from that Baron pit up there on the top side, trying to get a steal on that last camp. Is this an engage onto Liv? They're looking to get a cash in on the Draven. The ult comes through, but it's Fallen Warrior finding that last hit. Still stacks available for Chrome alone. It's a nice call to Forge God onto 2, but Ember the Flame just has to try and get away. It's a great Glacial Fissure onto Marie Lee Sin. The stun is going to come through. The nice slow comes down onto Marie Lee Sin. Chrome alone wants that cash in, just doesn't have the damage. Ember the Flame survives on the sliver of HP, and now Moxie's going to start to rotate an IQ of a Coconut right behind him. Suddenly, in not such a great spot, the final spark comes through, shuts them down. That's finally Despair, though, should pick up 1 on Fallen Warrior. Doesn't manage to find the damage onto Chrome alone, and thanks to that barrier, the heal, and keeping them alive. A messy exchange, but TFF comes out ahead.
Yeah, and crucially, Chrome alone did not go down, so still keeps the 241 stacks in their pocket. So at least in that way, it's pretty good. But now it's a 2.5k gold lead here for TFF after a very interesting fight. I mean, I would not have anticipated a fight to kind of start off of, two top laners TPing so early on in that exchange there, but they're actually going through with it. And I just got a shout out of my ear. We got Grasp Skarner. I don't think I've ever seen that in the jungle.
Oh, wait, hang on. Yeah, that's Jungle Grasp Skarner. Wait a minute. That's, It is normally Aftershock or Phase Rush or something of the like, is it not?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, but a little bit more damage towards the mid game. You got Grasp with the Undying. It's done 58 extra damage.
He's got dual procs off that thing.
Let's go, 14 HP.
I mean, apparently, according to the stats website, it is actually a significantly higher win rate, but I wonder if that is just from a lower sample size. We'll have to do some more investigation on that if this does go to a Game 3. Yeah, it's top lane tanks, they're fighting each other. I'm surprised to see Ember the Flame opt for the Sunfire first, as Pot of Greed is gonna make their presence known up here, but yeah, it's Sejuani. She's safe enough. Again, I'm surprised to see Ember the Flame rushing for the early Sunfire. I know a lot of times you're opting for the Bombies. I know, Makor, I think is his name, the EU West Ornn Prodigy, has been raving about Heartsteel on Ornn as opposed to Warmogs or Fimbulwinter, so I'd be interested to see if Ember the Flame wants to pick that one up, but here, we got a replay of that bottom lane exchange. Yeah,
Ember the Flame not able to do too much after your Soraka just gets immediately ulted here, but crucially, Chrome alone did not get the reset. Ember the Flame able to flash away. Nice flat awareness to make sure that you don't get taken down and cash in all those stacks. As Moxie just not seeing the angle there. Coach Silent K finding the Q that actually closes the gap. Fallen Silent Warrior.
Ooh, hang on. Pot of Greed is trying to get an engage here. The Impale is just onto 1. Crumbleon's on the other side. Pot of Greed gets bursted down. That final spark does a heck of a lot of damage. Cocoa Puffs in the back with the Heartbreaker, but doesn't have the damage to finish off the Soraka. Healing's just a little too good. Liv's gonna find that last hit. Fallen Warrior will finally fall. Moxie finds that last hit. Now the Spiraling Despair is gonna keep Crumbleon alive for not too long. Marie Lee Senpai's last hit, and Draven is shut down before he can cash in.
Ooh, GG, right? That's how that goes?
Yeah. I mean, if this is a solo queue game, TFF is already FFing. The game's over.
The game is over right there. And the gold is actually now close. It's only 1k away. That's definitely playable for the most part. So if you are Baron Besties, this might be your best shot towards the mid game. Your Hwei is pretty strong. Is going for the kind of burn, kill tank build over a kind of more burst-oriented build. And then on the other side, I mean, the Viego's going to have a rough time. You saw how much Soraka healing is actually able to deny the resets here for Viego. So they're going to have to be a little bit more coordinated on their plays if they actually want to find these resets for Viego.
Yeah, I have been surprised with the lack of, I would say, Soraka presence overall across the world, with Warmogs being in the state that it's in, how good the item is, and Soraka is known to abuse that item in ARAM at the very least. I'm happy to see Liv 122 going for it first item here on the Soraka, just getting that extra sustained team fights alongside that Dreammaker. It's going to make life very difficult for these burst mages like IQ, like Cocoa Puffs, because if they survive that one-shot combo, what do? Where's your follow-up damage? You're trusting on Chrome alone just to be able to finish off these kills.
Yeah, and with losing all the stacks, you won't have that accelerated Draven that really makes this champ so scary. So it's kind of a dire situation here for TFF, but they're still moving better across the map, so they'll have to, you know, ensure that they keep that up if they want to take this home 2-0 over Baron Besties. But looks like they're going to get the Rift Herald, no contest here. They did commit a couple players here, so but there's no cross-mapping currently, so they're not actually going to lose too much here for committing those players.
Yeah, it is something we've been harping on a lot over the course of this series, but it is kind of what happens when you have these top-tier teams up against each other. Fallen Warrior, they're going to take a little bit of damage here from Margulies, but yeah, it's kind of just what happens when you have the higher-seeded teams playing. You expect them to play a clean game. You need them to take home these 2-0s against these middle bottom of the pack teams. It's what you need to see out of them if you're expecting them to make a long run in playoffs. So we are going to keep talking about how clean TFF should be playing this game and harping on the mistakes that they make, because Baron Besties is doing a good job of punishing them and has found their way to even out a lot of the negatives that have happened to them over the course of this game number 2.
Yeah, Coach on K actually able to find the turret here, and now is going to do some damage, but there's just really nothing you can do. I mean, hard steal into Ornn. This is what I mean. You don't really want to play against a tank playing Sejuani top. Ember the Flame is going to miss the E to actually get the knock up here, and going to secure some gold. Both bot and top turrets taken down at pretty much the exact same time here for TFF. Going to extend that gold lead just a little bit. Pot of Greed goes for an engage.
Looking for the Impale, doesn't manage to find Chrome alone. A nice stand aside there. Might finally be able to find their shutdown gold here, but it's a nice flash away from those whirling blades of death. It's Fallen Warrior finding the kill again. Chrome alone can't find these last hits on the Draven. It's 1-for-0 so far, but here's that call to Forge God from Ember the Flame. It's a nice gone to 3. The Spiraling Despair is going to do so much on the pop here. Moxie finds one. Fallen Warrior and Silent K are trying to get away. Cocopuffs will finally find an extra kill in the back half of the fight. Pick up Liv, but it's a messy exchange as Ember will finish off Silent K on the other side of the fight. Cocopuffs wants to keep the exchange going, wants to find the reset, but it's a flash away from the Ornn. Margulies Sin a little bit too far forward, maybe making a mistake, but Cocopuffs has to be careful. Moxie does quite a bit of damage, but it's the final spark to be the final lifeline for Ember the Flame.
Yeah, and I feel like if Play didn't run this item, I feel like that would have done so much more damage. I feel like this item is not that great in mid. I've always had this opinion. I mean, yeah, Horizon would have been better. I feel like even Ludens would have done better in that scenario there, so...
Not the 1 HP Rift Herald escape for IQ. The smite comes through, but it's just 1 health on that poor Rift Herald.
I mean, the shenanigans, I don't know if you saw it the other day, there's the top to mid to bot, like, Rift Herald travel in, I think it was LPL. So it was just funny. Like, people have figured out the Rift Herald is kind of insane for cross-mapping.
Oh, yeah. Baron Besties are starting up the dragon here. We're going from fight to fight. Fallen Warrior looking for Fallen Warrior to get into the fight here. Silent K getting some extra damage down on the Moxie. Can't find the stun, but the final spark's going to do a little bit here. Doesn't manage to find all of its targets, but they've already bursted down the jungle of Baron Besties. That's Spiraling Despair is just not going to do very much to the front line here for TFF, and somehow they just walk their way into the pit and are going to start taking away the objective.
Yeah, it feels kind of rough because I feel like Baron Besties have like good foothold in the game, but they're not able to actually kind of convert that to any actual kills or objectives here, and they're going to get squeezed away from this drag immediately, and they are now going to get picked
Glacial
off.
Prison on to Live. The Soraka caught out. That Warmouse will keep you healthy, but not healthy enough. Chrome alone will finally find their cash in. I think I saw an extra 250 gold off of that proc, and now with the extra body, Cocopuffs is going to start to go on a tear. Margulies Sin gets tagged by the Winter's Bite. Cocopuffs looking maybe for a fear here, trying to find some extra damage for that Heartbreaker proc. A little bit of a spectator bug there as Margulies Sin did get over the wall, but it's a nice stun coming through, and it's Cocopuffs going on a killing spree now on the Viego. Looking for some extra damage onto Ember the Flame, but it is Ornn. They should just be able to walk away. She'll be fine to walk out of this one, but it is Cocopuffs running a train on the map.
Yeah, TFF has now extended that gold lead to about 5k, so pretty much gotten the foothold in this game that they were kind of lacking in the early game. The fights went their way, and now they're finding so much gold on a Chrome alone, finding 1k gold lead over the lane opponent there, and if I'm currently TFF, I'm feeling pretty good about this game since you do have a pick composition, and if the Lux is sitting on a Horizon Focus and a Ludens, should be able to one-shot pretty much any of the squishies in the game, so finding that pick will open up Viego, and then suddenly you have a real situation on your hands here for Baron Besties.
It's the Burst Mage plus Viego. It's a potent combo because you just one-shot one unlucky person on the enemy team, and you give Viego that first reset, which allows him to just start popping off with those Heartbreaker resets. It's a tried-and-true classic combo for a reason. It's working well here for TFF, though I will say the early game was a bit shaky. I think if you are another one of the top teams in this league, if you are Dorado, if you are Conduit Esports, and you're watching this series, you should be saying to yourself, hey, we can take games off of TFF. They don't look that strong.
Yeah, there's definitely chinks in the armor. There's things that you can look for to actually be able to take this victory over this team. So they're not infallible by any means. And I feel like they still even have a potential to lose this game, depending on how these team fights go, because I do still think that their comp has a little bit of a hard time actually, you know, besides the Viego Lux potency, like, it's a little bit difficult to actually play out these fights if they don't find a good Sejuani ultimate or a good Lux binding to start it off, so.
Yeah. Again, Chrome alone is not accelerated on this Draven, still looking to finish up that second item here at 20 minutes, as IQ is going to get some nice poke down onto Moxie and Liv, but that Guardian putting in some work for the Soraka. The stand aside, knocking her a little closer. Pot of Greed is going to be able to walk away as Liv, just with those Starfalls, is going to be able to sustain up. Fallen Warrior really wants to try and make this exchange happen. It's the Impale from Pot of Greed, but it's just onto Cocoa Puffs and Fallen Warrior. Where's the follow-up? Where's the rest of the team? Baron Besties falling apart here. Cocoa Puffs is going to go on a rampage. Liv will be the next to fall. So Silent K finds that kill. Pot of Greed trying to get over the wall and out of there, skedaddling on the Skarner. And TFF finally coming alive here in Game 2 and are looking to start locking down the series.
Coach Silent K continuing to do what he pleases, just clicked forward towards the two carries, and suddenly your entire team was split off, and there's no follow-up, despite a nice Impale and potentially more follow-up if a little bit more damage came through there. So Baron Bestie is going to get taken down here. The Baron is going to get into the pocket of TFF.
Yeah, and it just feels like Baron Besties were a little disjointed there. And it's similar to what we saw in game number 1. They had those moments of brilliance, those shining lights of like, hey, this team has combos. They're able to communicate with each other. They're able to play together and look good. But it's just sometimes a little too late. You're already down 10,000 gold at that point in the game. And you can hit a nice combo at that point. But when you're that far down, sometimes you just can't make the follow-through happen.
Yeah, and with the Mountain Drakes coming up, I mean, it's just going to get harder and harder as this game extends. So they need to find an opening, and they need to find it soon, or else this is going to get out of hand more than it already is out of hand. I mean, you're already trying to chase the car that's ran away. I mean, the bus is on its way out of the station. You need to find your final pit stop if you're actually going to be finding this win here for Baron Besties.
Yeah, and again, it's looking to punish these mistakes that TFF are making. This team is not infallible. You can look to take moments away from them. You can look to find fights, and I think the window is going to start to close pretty soon as Lux is going to approach this third item, as Cocoa Puffs is going to finish up this third item as well. Again, moments of brilliance, but hang on. Team fight's going to start. Pot of Greed is going to get the Impale onto 3. This is what we were talking about. That Spider Despair is going to do so much work. It's 1-for-1 immediately off the cup as Cocoa Puffs goes unstoppable. Fallen Warrior Cocoa Puffs are going down. This is what Baron Besties were looking for. Shutdown over on the Marie Sin. Coach Silent K trying to run away, but it's just a huge team fight win. Plenty of shutdowns over to the Besties.
And this is why you can't give Skarner. If he ever gets a large Impale, Skarner just completely negates a team's damage. You saw, despite the binding coming down, it still didn't matter that much. But this is kind of what I was thinking about this comp. They need to be the ones engaging. They need to be the ones that are finding these openings. If they're the ones getting engaged on, they're going to have a much harder time playing this game out. As Coach Silent K is trying to force down Moxie, you need to protect your way.
IQ and Coach are trying to make this fight happen. IQ have a Coconut with a great snipe off that final smart. Coach Silent K in the meantime is just 1v2 against the enemy bottom lane. As Ember the Flame is trying to make something happen against IQ of a Coconut, but it's going to get rooted up, locked up. The Comet comes through. Marie Sin now trying to chase down and get some revenge for their top laner, but it's just nothing doing. And again, that moment of brilliance for Baron Besties falls apart around the objective with some great micro from TFF.
Yeah, it felt like Baron Besties just disconnected there. You need to play towards your way. You need to make sure that your carries are alive. You just play it slower, and I think they would have had a great opportunity there to kind of cement that advantage that they carved for themselves. Now the Baron's going to go the Dragon is going to go the way of TFF, and the lead is only going to extend. They had their opening, and I feel like they squandered it a little bit.
Yeah, and again, it's that moment of brilliance. It's that shining spotlight there for a second where Baron Besties had their opportunity. They found a great fight to try and find their way back into the game. They were looking for their angle, but it just ends up falling that little bit short. And there is still time left in the season. We're less than halfway through. We're going to get a replay here on the play. It was a great start here with all that damage on the backline from Moxie.
Look at that Impale. 3-man Impale, and then the knockup, the unending despair. I mean, everything kind of landing in their favor. And then Viego barely getting the reset, able to get away, tries to get
alive. We got a fight going there.
Oh.
It is that final spark coming down on to Ember the Flame, but it is the Orange just trying to walk away for now. Silent K just happy to continue walking forward. They may not be on to the Mundo this time, but like you said, they're going where they please in this game. The Siege is going to continue to advance. Pot of Greed has to flash away from that one. Moxie trying to make something happen. The Whirling Death doesn't find any value for Chrome alone, but the tanks for both these sides just continuing to be healthy. Ember the Flame looking for a Call of the Forge God, but a great block from Fallen the Warrior. There goes the Glacial Prison, and that's going to be the pick onto Ember that they need. Chrome alone finds the kill, despite the despair on the Cocoa Puffs. Should do enough damage. He can't get the body reset. Hang on, TFF have overstepped again in the mid lane, and Baron Besties will find the punish.
The ARAM is working out here for Baron Besties. They're able to find the pick yet again, and now IQ gonna get poked out a bit. Liv is just frontlining a Soraka. They can't do anything about it either. Coach gonna walk it off.
A little low on mana, so they do have to be worried about the amount of sustain that they have left in their team, but they're trying to fight out. They're trying to make it happen. Moxie and Liv are both alone, left on lone amounts of mana, and Coach Silent K, happy to come up, but the punish is going to find Moxie. IQ of Coconut looking to come forward. It's a great flash binding on it to the support. Liv is going to be able to escape, but the IQ of Coconut will come through. Liv gets shut down immediately after with Coach Silent K, and it's deja vu. I've been here before. Baron Besties find their fight, and it's immediately shut down again by TFF.
Yeah, they just overextend a little bit, or the micro's not working out every single time if they don't have their very strong tools here to actually extend these fights. And in the long run, TFF is coming out on top every single time here. And Coach Silent K feels like a kind of crucial factor in that kind of micro. As Ember's just going to take quite a bit of poke here, but Coach Silent K now with probably so much gold advantage, it does not even matter that the Sejuani doesn't do well into tanks.
Yeah, at this point, you're 3.5 items on the Sedge versus the 1.5 for Ember the Flame. It's, you know, you were harping on the Sejuani, not taking the Ignite, not looking for any of that lane domination, but for Coach Silent K, it's worked out in this game. They've just been playing for the team, not caring that much about the lane leads or trying to find the 1v1s. It's just been, hey, I'm going to play for the squad. I'm going to be the tank that they need. Speaking of being a tank that they need, Pot of Greed going to get stunned up. It gets to the other side of the wall, so won't be in trouble there. And I wonder, as I say that, Liv gets caught in mid lane. I was about to say, I wonder how TFF is going to be able to find their avenue towards finding the win in this game, as the Glacial Prison is going to land, and IQ of a Coconut with the final spark is just going to shut down the bottom lane of Marie Lee Sin. First inhibitor will be cracked open here for TFF, and just as I'm thinking it, they find their way to break into the base.
Yeah, and now they can kind of pivot towards this Baron and just get it for free for the most part. I don't think there could be any contest here for Baron Besties, as I mean, they haven't been besties with Baron this entire series. I feel like they haven't seen him much, not gonna lie.
Since they've done no damage to Baron, you could argue that they've been more of a friend than TFF has, because, you know, TFF is coming over here to kill him. They're not, like, you know, shaking his hand, asking how his day was, inviting him over for dinner. This is going to be a dead Baron.
That's fair enough, but I haven't seen any defense either, so kind of a neutral stance completely here from the Baron Besties, as Baron's going to go into TFF's pocket yet again. And now there aren't many more advantageous positions that they could kind of harbor. There's still the Soul in about 40 seconds that they could play for, but
you know what I want to see for TFF? I just want to see something that isn't A-ramming. If they can get into a side lane like Coach Silent K is here, find an advantage, push down, maybe like have a 4-1 split here, play someone in the top lane while you are looking for the dragon, as it is going to be the burst on a Pot of Greed, leaving about half their HP on the Skarner here. Does have the Soraka nearby, so should just be able to sustain back up as soon as Liv wants to get over to them, but Liv's got to be careful about losing the poke of their own. Cocoa Puffs is here, looking for the burst down onto the Soraka, but maybe a little bit overextended. Does have that Guardian Angel, so we'll be able to get up. The Wish from Soraka will not keep her alive. Cocoa Puffs will get this first reset and is going to start to pop off. Chrome alone picks up a double kill. The Glacial Prison will go wide. The Spiral Despair will find one back, but it's just the support as Moxie's now forced to try and run away. It's just not looking good for the Bear and Besties. They had their window, they looked for the opportunity, but it's all but gone now.
Yeah, Moxie at least able to survive, so I don't believe this will be the end of the game. Oh, never mind.
You spoke too soon!
Mr. Cursed. That's how that goes,
yeah,
right?
The comment with that Shadow Flame extra bit of damage there from the crit does quite a bit of damage, and Moxie does fall down. Marie Lee Sin left alive, live up in about a second. This will be the second inhibitor exposed for TFF. I don't know if they'll be able to find the opportunity to end here, but it's a heck of a big wave, and they've got grubs. I think they're going to look for it. Coach Silent Chaos on a rampage. They find the body of the Soraka just for an extra bit of reset for Cocoa Puffs, and the Bear and Besties. A valiant attempt, some signs of life throughout the series, but it is going to end up with TFF Aftershocks staying undefeated.
Yeah, they're going to take it 2-0, and they're going to keep their perfect game score, now 8-0 here in the Titan Esports Divinity League. So they're definitely a force to be reckoned with, but not the perfect entity that their score would align with. So.
Yeah, the score, I think, definitely doesn't tell the story of this game. Because, again, for Bear and Besties, signs of life, moments of greatness, spots where they had the opportunity, if they weren't so far behind initially, that they could have found a comeback. The great shockwave that we saw in Game 1, the combos that we saw in Game 2 off of Moxie's Hwei, off of Pot of Greed on this Skarner. I think this is a team that you should not and cannot really leave Skarner up against, because if they're not this far behind, if you are not TFF Aftershocks getting a 10k gold lead up against them, those are combos that will be lethal if the gold is closer.
Yeah, and look at the damage. The Draven did not matter at all.
It was all IQ of a coconut.
Yeah, for the most part, and you know, Hwei's still putting up good damage, but that's mostly into tanks, things that don't really care too much how much damage you're pumping in. So at the end of the day, the impact just isn't there here for the side of Bear and Besties, and they're going to fall yet again, and that's going to kind of expand that distance before they hit that top 4 mark. Depending on how the rest of the matches go today, they could really find themselves outside of contention later on, and you'd be a big concern.
Yeah, I will say they have had a fairly tough schedule. Looking back on some of their the teams that they've gone up against over the past couple of weeks, they've had some difficult matchups here and there. Imperial Gaming is one of those teams, again, expected to be middle top of the pack. So there's hopefully teams that they can bounce up against next time that they come through, but unfortunately, this week is not their week, as, like we said, TFF just that little bit cleaner on the day, despite all the mistakes that they were making.
Yeah, but either way, signs of hope for Bear and Besties, kind of, you know, some concerns for TFF, but definitely can be kind of eased up a bit. I feel like it was a bit of micro play that was not going their way. I feel like their macro has been pretty solid for the most part, considering, you know, we are in the Divinity League. I feel like their macro has been pretty good. Maybe a bit more side laning they could kind of index towards, but besides that, I feel like it's been pretty solid and don't have too many complaints besides, you know, we are in NA, but we don't need to ARAM that much.
We don't need to ARM every single game. But again, the win for TFF Aftershock means that they go 2-0, retain their undefeated streak, going 8-0 in terms of game record. But I think that's going to be it for us on the desk today. I've been What's Pretty. Golden Gad has been stepping in for us for color. Anti and Chris Sunga on production, making sure that everything runs smoothly in the background and making sure that your experience here on stream is as good as it always is. Thank you all so much for joining us, and have a great night.
See you.